Hey guys, here are your 3.2a notes. So notice there will be 2 days of this section. That is because I want you guys to have me in class to ask questions for the second part. So this is part 1. Okay, I'm just going to go over a little bit of a review from yesterday as well as introduce some new topics. So today we have those 4 major types of angles again. So the first one is corresponding, which remember were when they had the exact same placement. So maybe I have 1 here and 2 here. Okay. If those parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then those corresponding angles are congruent. So now today I'm saying my 2 lines are going to be parallel, cut by a transversal, so 1 and 2 are congruent. Okay, that is your corresponding angles theorem, which we will abbreviate CAT. Yes, this does mean that we will be doing proofs in this chapter again. It is not as proof heavy, but it still does have quite a few proofs in it. Okay, so corresponding angles are congruent. My second one is your alternate interior angles. So we abbreviate that AIAT. This one says if 2 parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the pair of alternate interior angles are congruent. So here I've got them opposite sides of my transversal, but inside those 2 parallel lines. So 1 and 2, my alternate interior angles are congruent. Okay, my third type of angle from yesterday was alternate exterior angles. This one's AEAT, okay, alternate exterior angle theorem. It says if 2 parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the pairs of alternate exterior angles are congruent. Okay, so those would be equal. They would be the same measure, congruent measures. Okay, and my last one, consecutive interior angles. So CIAT, consecutive interior angles, says if 2 lines are cut by a transversal, then my consecutive interior angles, so same side, are supplementary. This is the only one that is different. Notice everything else has been congruent, congruent, congruent. This one is supplementary, so these add up to 180. Okay, everything else is equal. Consecutive interior angles add up to 180. That's your different one. Okay, so in my picture, it says the measure of 3 of the numbered angles are 120 degrees. Identify the angles and explain. So what I'm looking for first is what angle I'm talking about. So it says this one is 120. And then my sentence says 3 other angles should also be 120 degrees. Okay, so most of you can probably see the first one. So angle 3 is equal to 120 degrees because those 2 are vertical angles, so VAT. Okay, so now this is 120 as well. Okay. The next angle that I know for sure is 120 degrees is angle 7. Okay, so angle 7 is 120 degrees. Notice this is not drawn to scale. Okay, we're just practicing those different types of angles. So 120 and angle 7, these are my alternate interior angles. So we're going to use AIAT to say they are congruent. Okay, so this is now 120. And then hopefully you guys see, maybe you see it this way. Okay, those are across from each other, that angle 6 and that 120. Or you see these. Okay, that's top right, top right. So angle 6 is also 120 degrees. Because of corresponding angle theorem. Those are corresponding when they're in the same location. Okay, now we're going to do some algebra. Okay, so this is using your knowledge of your different types of angles to find out the missing value. So it says find the value of x, okay? And I've numbered some different angles in here to kind of give you a hint on where to go. So use the numbered angles to help you. Okay, so I know for sure this one up here, top left, is 115, okay? This angle down here, okay, so I numbered it angle 4. How much would angle 4 be worth? Okay, so this is 115 as well. That is a vertical angle, just in case you want y. Okay, those were vertical angles for each other. Now I'm looking right here, and I'm going to cross that 4 out so I don't get confused, right here at these two. Okay, so I know they're both inside my parallel lines, and they're on the same side of my transversal. So if they're both on the inside and the same side of the transversal, that is consecutive interior angles. So I'm going to look back to my original. I'm going to find consecutive interior angles and then figure out, are they going to be congruent or supplementary? Okay. So that's my very last one down there. That's the one that's different. So they are supplementary, which means those two pieces add up to equal 180. So I get 120 plus x equals 180. Oops, 180 minus 120. So x equals 60. Okay, my second picture. Again, I'm giving you those numbered angles to help you figure out where to go. Okay, so I know this is 136. I'm saying you can figure out the measure of angle 1. Okay, this is a straight line right here. Straight lines, remember, that creates a linear pair, which means those are supplementary. So I'm going to do 180 minus 136. Okay, so remember, linear pairs are the ones that are next to each other, and they should form a straight line. So 180 minus 136, I get 44 for the measure of angle 1. Okay, then I can look, I can see this angle and this angle. That's where I'm trying to get to. Those are alternate exterior angles. Okay, they're on opposite sides of my transversal. They're alternate exterior angles. So if I look back on my first slide, these should be congruent. So 44 equals 7x plus 9. So I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. I get 35 equals 7x. Divide by 7, so x equals 5. Hey, last slide. I have a new diagram here, and it says use the diagram given that the measure of angle 1 is 105. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fill that in on my diagram. Find the measure of angle 4, 5, and 8. Tell which theorem you use in each case. So the measure of angle 4, so look at the relationship between 1 and 4. They are across from each other. So the measure of angle 4 should be the same, 105. Across from each other means they were vertical angles, VAT. Okay, now I'm looking at angle 5. So my original, always go back to your original, and angle 5. What kind of angles are those? Okay, so typically when I ask that question, I'm looking for one of those 4 types of angles. These are corresponding because they're in the same location. So that is also 105. And the last one is the measure of angle 8. So original, angle 8, those are alternate exterior. So that is also 105. Okay, please make sure you study these different types of angles. It will make these problems way easier. Okay, for the last one, I've got new information, so I erased everything else. I'm starting fresh with this diagram. It says the measure of angle 3 is 68. And the measure of angle 8 is 2x plus 4. Find the value of x. Okay, now you may be looking at this and saying, okay, but Miss Sanders, that's not one of your 4 types of angles. Okay, that's fine, but we do have some other information. So I know angle 8, which we figured out in the last problem, is supposed to be equal to angle 1. So how could I figure out what angle 1 is? Okay, so I know this is 68. I've got a straight line here and I'm trying to figure out angle 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 180 minus my 68 in order to figure out what the measure of angle 1 is. So 180 minus 68 should give you 112. Okay, and now we know angle 1 and angle 8 should be the same. So 112 equals 2x plus 4. So I'm going to subtract 4. 108 equals 2x. And divide by 2. And x equals 54. All right, guys, please make sure you get online on Clever, do your homework, and I will see you again on Monday. Bye.